The old football field was always creepy. It had an eerie presence that seemed to linger in the air, no matter the time of day or night. The fog that enveloped it was thick and unyielding, creating an almost otherworldly atmosphere. It was as if the field itself was alive, breathing out a mist that swallowed everything in its path. Even in the daylight, it felt wrong. The sun's rays could barely penetrate the dense fog, casting long, ghostly shadows that danced across the field. The once vibrant green grass now looked dull and lifeless, as if it had given up on trying to grow in such a desolate place. The goalposts stood like silent sentinels, watching over the field with a menacing stillness. A thick fog always hung in the air, making the field look hazy, like a scary dream. It was the kind of fog that seemed to seep into your very bones, chilling you from the inside out. The mist clung to everything, making the air feel heavy and oppressive. It was hard to breathe, and every step felt like a struggle against an invisible force. The grass was always damp and slippery, and it felt wrong under my shoes. Each step was accompanied by a squelching sound, as if the ground itself was trying to pull me down. The dampness seemed to seep through my shoes, making my feet cold and uncomfortable. It was a constant reminder that this place was not meant for human presence. I shivered, even though it wasn't cold. The chill that ran down my spine was not from the temperature, but from the overwhelming sense of dread that permeated the air. It was as if the field was whispering to me, telling me to leave while I still could. But something kept me rooted to the spot, unable to tear myself away. The fog seemed to be closing in, suffocating me. It wrapped around me like a shroud, making it hard to see or hear anything beyond a few feet. The world outside the field seemed to disappear, leaving me trapped in this eerie, misty prison. My heart raced and I could feel the panic rising in my chest, but I couldn't move. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't. Not yet. There was something about this place that held me captive, a strange compulsion that I couldn't explain. It was as if the field itself was calling to me, begging me to stay and uncover its secrets. I knew it was dangerous, but I couldn't resist the pull. The old wooden bleachers were rotting, and they creaked in the wind. They stood as a testament to the passage of time, their once sturdy structure now weakened and decayed. The wood was splintered and warped, and the paint had long since peeled away. Sitting on them felt like a gamble, as if they could collapse at any moment. The sound sent chills down my spine. Each creak and groan seemed to echo through the fog, amplifying the sense of unease. It was as if the bleachers themselves were alive, groaning in protest at my presence. The wind howled through the empty stands, creating an eerie symphony that only added to the haunting atmosphere. I hated this field, but I couldn't stay away. There was something about it that drew me in, despite the fear and discomfort it caused. It was a place of mystery and darkness, and I felt compelled to uncover its secrets. The fog, the damp grass, the creaking bleachers, they all seemed to be part of a larger puzzle, one that I was determined to solve. And so, despite the overwhelming sense of dread, I stayed, waiting for the field to reveal its hidden truths. Everyone in town had heard the stories. They were passed down from generation to generation, whispered in hushed tones around campfires and during sleepovers. The tales were as old as the town itself, and they had a way of creeping into your thoughts when you least expected it. They said the field was haunted. It was the kind of place that gave you chills just thinking about it. The old, abandoned school building stood as a silent sentinel, watching over the field where so much tragedy had occurred. People whispered about a tragic accident. It was said that on a foggy autumn night, many years ago, the high school football team had met a gruesome fate. The details were always murky, but the essence of the story remained the same. A long time ago, a high school football team died there, right on the field during a game. Some said it was a freak lightning strike. Others claimed it was a curse. Whatever the cause, the result was the same. A team of young athletes lost their lives in the prime of their youth. Now their ghosts haunted the place. On certain nights, if you listened closely, you could hear the faint echoes of their final game. The sound of a whistle, the thud of a football, and the distant cheers of a crowd that no longer existed. Don't go there, people warned, especially not at night. The field was off limits, a place where the past and present seemed to blur. But I didn't listen. I was young, reckless, and eager to prove myself. I loved football, and I loved a good dare. The thrill of the game and the adrenaline rush of a challenge were irresistible to me. The field, with its dark history, was the ultimate test of courage. "I bet you won't go to the field tonight," Danny dared me. His eyes sparkled with mischief, and I could see the challenge in his gaze. He knew exactly how to push my buttons. He knew I couldn't resist a challenge. The more dangerous, the better. It was a matter of pride, of proving that I was braver than the rest. And so, I accepted his dare without hesitation. "I'm not scared," I said, trying to sound brave. My voice was steady, but my heart was pounding in my chest. The thought of facing the haunted field at night was terrifying, but I couldn't back down now. But inside, my stomach churned. The stories of the haunted field played over and over in my mind. I could almost hear the ghostly whispers, feel the cold, eerie presence of the lost football team. Yet I had to go through with it. I had to prove that I was fearless, even if it meant confronting the unknown. As the sun set, I walked toward the field. The fog was thicker now, swirling around my feet. My heart pounded in my chest. The streetlights cast eerie shadows. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end. What was I doing? This was a terrible idea. I reached the entrance of the field. The rusty gates creaked open as if warning me. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. Silence, except for the sound of my own breathing. I took a few steps onto the field. The fog seemed to be pressing in on me. I could barely see a few feet ahead. Then I heard it. A faint whisper carried on the wind. I stopped, holding my breath. Was it my imagination, or did I hear someone calling my name? The whisper came again, louder this time, and closer. I spun around, searching for the source. There was no one there. The fog started to swirl again. Then I saw them. Figures emerging from the mist. They were translucent, shadowy forms, but I could make out their shapes. Football players. They moved silently across the field. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light. They were playing a game, a silent, ghostly game. One of the figures turned towards me. It raised a spectral arm and pointed. A cold dread washed over me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't scream. I turned and ran. I ran faster than I had ever run before, but the figures were faster. They were gaining on me. Their ghostly laughter echoed behind me. It was a chilling sound, full of malice and despair. I didn't dare look back. I just kept running. The gates were in sight. I could see the streetlights beyond. I pushed myself harder, my lungs burning, my legs screaming for rest. But I couldn't stop. Not now. I reached the gates, but they were locked. I rattled the bars, but they wouldn't budge. I was trapped. I turned back to face my pursuers. They surrounded me, their forms shifting in the fog. Their glowing eyes bored into me. I closed my eyes, bracing for the worst. But nothing happened. I opened my eyes slowly. The figures were gone. The fog was clearing. I was alone, or so I thought. A voice spoke. It was close, right next to my ear. But there was no one there. "We just want to finish our game," the voice whispered. "We were just like you. We loved football." The voice sounded sad, regretful. It didn't sound menacing or evil. It sounded lost. "Help us," the voice pleaded. "Help us find peace." I took a deep breath and spoke to the empty air. "How can I help you?" the voice whispered again, telling me about the accident, about the game they never got to finish, about their unfinished business. I made a promise that night, a promise to help the ghosts find peace. And then, just as quickly as it started, it was over. The voice was gone. I knew then that I would never be truly rid of the haunted football field. It was a part of me now. The next day, people asked me about my night at the field. They were curious, their eyes filled with a mix of concern and intrigue. They wanted to know every detail, every moment I spent in that eerie place. I didn't tell them about the ghosts. They wouldn't believe me. How could they? The idea of spirits lingering in a football field seemed absurd to them. They would laugh it off, dismiss it as a figment of my imagination. And even if they did, what good would it do? What could they possibly do about it? The field was beyond saving, a place lost to time and tragedy. It was a haunting reminder of the past, a place where the living had no power. The haunted football field remained a mystery. Its secrets were buried deep within the fog, hidden from the prying eyes of the curious. It was a place where the past and present intertwined, where the line between reality and the supernatural blurred. But I knew the truth. I had seen the ghosts, heard their whispers. I had felt their presence, a cold chill that ran down my spine. I knew their story, their pain, their longing to be remembered. And I would never forget the promise I made that night. I had vowed to keep their memory alive, to honor their legacy. It was a promise I intended to keep no matter the cost. The field still stands today. It remains untouched, a silent witness to the events of that fateful night. The fog still lingers, a constant reminder of the spirits that dwell within. The fog is still there. It wraps around the field like a shroud, hiding its secrets from the world. It is a place of mystery, a place where the past refuses to be forgotten. And sometimes, on a quiet night, when the world is still and the air is thick with anticipation, you can still hear them. The whispers of the lost players, their voices carried on the wind. They speak of their dreams, their hopes, their regrets. They are a haunting reminder of what once was. The whispers of the lost players, forever bound to the field where they fell. They are trapped in a never-ending cycle, reliving their final moments over and over again. Their spirits are bound to the field, unable to move on. They are a part of the field now, their presence felt in every blade of grass, every gust of wind. They are the guardians of the field, watching over it, protecting it from those who would disturb its peace. As I stand here, looking out over the field, I can't help but feel a sense of connection to those lost souls. Their story is a part of me now, a part of my own journey. I will carry their memory with me, always. And so, I leave the field, knowing that I will return. I will come back to honor the promise I made, to keep their memory alive. The Field of Whispers remains a place of mystery, a place of ghosts, a place where the past and present collide. The fog will always be there, a constant reminder of the spirits that dwell within, and the whispers will continue, a haunting melody that echoes through the night. The Field of Whispers remains, forever a part of me, forever a part of them.